They kicked him out like he was nothing. No name, no past, no medals, no service. Just another black man, standing in the lobby of a luxury hotel, drenched from the unexpected spring rain, trying to check in for the night. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave," the receptionist said, flatly, not bothering to make eye contact. Her name tag read Rachel, but her tone stripped away any humanity from the interaction. "I have a reservation," said Marcus quietly, his voice steady but firm. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. His hands trembled slightly from the cold, but he held it up. Under Marcus Thompson. Rachel gave the paper a glance and smirked. "We don't take walk-ins, especially not ones who come in here soaking wet and smelling like the street." Marcus frowned. "I'm not a walk-in. I booked a suite 2 weeks ago, paid in advance. I just got into town," I said. "We're full." Her voice sharpened. From the corner of the lobby, a tall man in a blazer approached. His badge read Manager Todd Benson. He looked Marcus up and down with thinly veiled disgust. "What's going on here?" he asked Rachel, ignoring Marcus entirely. "He says he has a reservation, but he looks like he just wandered off a bus." Marcus stepped forward. "I am a retired master sergeant in the USA RMY. I served 22 years, including 5 tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. I have a reservation. I just need my room key." Todd narrowed his eyes. "Do you think this is a homeless shelter? We have standards here. We serve guests, not—" He stopped himself short, but the word hung in the air like a slap. Marcus didn't flinch. He stared straight at Todd. "I gave this country everything. I buried friends overseas. I've earned more than enough to stay in a damn hotel. You need to leave," Todd said, "before I call security." A few guests were watching now, silent, curious, uneasy. Marcus took a deep breath, then nodded slowly. He looked down at the duffel bag at his feet, picked it up, and walked out without another word. Outside, the rain had turned to a cold drizzle. He stood under the awning and took out his phone, dialing. "Yeah," he said after a pause. "It happened again. Same kind of place. You know the drill. Let's make it count." 24 hours later, the front page of the New York Chronicle had a headline that made Todd Benson's heart drop into his stomach. "Decorated black veteran kicked out of hotel. Discrimination caught on camera." The article included stills from security footage and a cell phone video captured by a teenage girl in the lobby. Marcus's calm voice, Rachel's disdain, Todd's tone of disgust. The internet exploded. By noon, the hotel's review pages were flooded. Veteran haters, shameful treatment of an American hero. "Boycott this place." Todd sat in his office, pale and sweating. Rachel stood by the door, trembling. "I didn't know he was a veteran," she whispered. "You think that matters?" Todd snapped. "You think that makes it better? You treated him like garbage in front of witnesses and cameras." I just thought he was... Yeah, you thought he was black and poor, and you acted on it." The owner of the hotel, Charles Whitman, was on his way in from Chicago. His last text read, "This better be a misunderstanding. We're losing millions." Meanwhile, Marcus was being interviewed live on national TV. "I don't want revenge," he said calmly, "but I do want justice. This happens to men like me every day. Not all of us get caught on camera. Not all of us walk away calm. I've fought overseas for people I didn't know, came home to a country that still sees me as a threat." 3 days later, Marcus walked into the same lobby again. This time, he wore a sharp charcoal suit, polished shoes, and a navy tie bearing the Army emblem. Cameras followed him. News crews waited outside. Todd stood stiffly by the front desk. Rachel had been fired the day before. Todd was hanging by a thread. "Mr. Thompson," he said through gritted teeth, on behalf of the Whitman Hotels, we deeply apologize for the way you were treated. It does not reflect our values." Marcus tilted his head. "You mean the values you displayed yourself?" Todd flushed. "It was a mistake, one we're trying to correct." Charles Whitman appeared behind him, extending a hand. Mr. Thompson, I'm Charles, owner of this hotel chain. I want you to know we are taking this very seriously. Marcus looked at his hand, then shook it slowly. I hope so. Because it's not just about me. It's about the message. Your staff judged me before I even opened my mouth. Charles nodded gravely. Which is why, if you're willing, we'd like to partner with your foundation. I don't have a foundation. Marcus cut in. But maybe I should. Charles smiled. Then we'd like to fund the first year, fully. A Veterans Justice and Dignity Fund. Name it what you like. You've earned it. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You trying to clean your conscience? I'm trying to make it right, Charles said simply. Behind the cameras, a reporter whispered, talk about a reversal. 1 month later, the Thompson Initiative launched with a national spotlight. The hotel's PR disaster had become a movement. With Marcus at the helm, he spoke at schools, conferences, and city councils, told his story again and again, not out of bitterness, but purpose. One night, he stood at a gala fundraiser in Washington, D.C., wearing his medals, looking out over a crowd of powerful people. I was kicked out of a hotel because of how I looked, he said, but that wasn't new. What was new was someone finally filming it. What was new was people finally listening. I don't want your pity. I want change. Back in that same hotel, business had slowed, guests canceled, staff quit. Todd was removed quietly, his name wiped from the website. Rachel, she tried to apply at another hotel nearby. But when they Googled her name, the video came up. I just needed a job, she told the interviewer. You also need a conscience, the manager replied. Marcus didn't celebrate their downfall. That wasn't his way. But karma had done its job, and he had work to do. Marcus sat by the window of a quiet cafe in downtown D.C., sipping black coffee, watching the rain roll down the glass. His phone buzzed once, then again. He ignored it. His eyes were fixed on a memory, one that played again and again behind his calm gaze. Rachel's face twisting with disdain, Todd's voice dripping with contempt. The moment he was forced to walk out of that hotel, as if he didn't belong anywhere. But that day didn't break him. It built something inside him. Sir, a voice interrupted gently. Marcus looked up. A young man stood there, maybe 19 or 20, nervous, fidgety, holding a small notebook and a pen. I just wanted to say thank you for what you're doing, for speaking out. My dad's a vet, got treated like trash when he came home. No one listened. But now people are. Marcus stood and shook the young man's hand. What's your name? Jordan, sir. Jordan Green. Well, Jordan, you tell your father that someone's listening now. We're not invisible anymore. Jordan grinned, his eyes lighting up. He's going to be proud I met you. As the kid left, Marcus finally checked his phone. 15 new messages. 3 from reporters. 1 from the White House. He scrolled through and opened the one from a familiar number. Major General Stevens, retired. Heard about the hotel. About time someone like you stood up. I've got a few folks in high places who want to help. Lunch Friday. Marcus smirked. Karma, he thought again. In a sleek boardroom on the 34th floor of a midtown skyscraper, Todd Benson was on his 3rd interview that week. Your experience is impressive, said the HR executive in front of him, flipping through his resume. But we've noticed a significant amount of online backlash connected to your name. Can you explain that? Todd's jaw tightened. It was a misunderstanding, a setup. That man didn't look like he belonged. How was I supposed to know he was a decorated vet? The executive's eyes narrowed. So, it's his fault. I didn't say that, Todd snapped. But people jumped to conclusions. One video, and suddenly, I'm the devil. The woman stood. We won't be moving forward. Good luck in your search. Todd stormed out, his hands clenched, bitter rage bubbling under his skin. Everywhere he went, doors closed. He passed a bus stop and did a double take. There, staring back at him from a massive ad, was Marcus Thompson. Respect ISNT given. ITS earned, then ITS protected. The Thompson Initiative. Todd's lip curled. He walked faster. Meanwhile, Marcus was speaking to a crowded auditorium of college students at Howard University. His voice was calm, deliberate, powerful. "I want you to look around this room," he said. "Each of you has power. You may not feel it yet, but you do. I spent most of my life proving my worth. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I was told to stay silent, to let things slide, to be the bigger man." He paused. "Well, I've been the bigger man long enough. Now, I'm the louder one." The students erupted into applause. In the front row sat Alicia, Marcus's daughter, 17, brilliant, fierce, and proud. She clapped harder than anyone. Afterward, she ran up to him backstage. "Dad, that was incredible. Everyone's talking about it. TikTok's already blowing up." Marcus smiled and kissed her forehead. "You're my legacy, baby girl. And we're just getting started." Across town, Charles Whitman sat in his penthouse office, watching stock prices dip on his laptop. The PR damage to his brand had taken weeks to contain, but the silver lining, partnering with Marcus, had bought him goodwill. The Thompson Initiative had gone viral. He sipped his whiskey and made a call. Get Marcus Thompson back on the schedule. Offer him whatever speaker's fee he wants, and get his lawyer on the line. I want to negotiate exclusivity. But Marcus wasn't done interested in being bought. Later that night, his lawyer, Angela Burke, walked into his modest office, holding a thick envelope. "Whitman wants to own the initiative," she said. "They're offering 7 figures. You'd be set for life." Marcus shook his head, slowly. "It was never about the money." Angela raised an eyebrow. "You sure? That could build 20 veteran centers nationwide." Marcus rubbed his chin. "Only if they don't slap their name on it and pretend they care." "I'm not a mascot. I'm a mission." Angela grinned. "That's why I love working with you." Meanwhile, Rachel sat in a crowded unemployment office downtown, filling out her 5th job application that week. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun, her face hollow from stress. A woman at the desk looked over her resume and gave a soft, regretful sigh. "We're seeing a lot of online complaints tied to your name. Discrimination, harassment." Rachel's voice cracked. "I didn't mean to. I was just following protocol." He looked. "I didn't think. You didn't think he was worth kindness?" the woman asked, gently. Rachel had no answer. She left the office with her head down, passing a street mural freshly painted on the side of a nearby building. Marcus Thompson's face. The words painted below it, "Dignity denied is dignity delayed, not destroyed." The Thompson Initiative kept growing. Within 6 months, Marcus had launched 3 veteran centers in Atlanta, Detroit, and Chicago. Each one offered therapy, job placement, legal aid, and emergency housing. Each one had a giant banner above the doors, "Welcome home." In one hallway, a teenage boy in a hoodie hugged his father, recently sober, recently hired, and recently hopeful. "You saved my dad," he whispered to Marcus. Marcus knelt down. "No, son, he saved himself. I just gave him a place to do it." The story came full circle when Marcus received a personal invitation to speak at the National Veterans Honor Gala, an event televised to millions. He stepped onto the stage, wearing his full dress uniform, chest heavy with medals. "I was kicked out of a hotel," he said to the room. "But that wasn't the worst day of my life. Not even close. The worst day was realizing that the country I fought for still saw me as a problem. The best day, when I realized I could change that." He looked directly into the camera. "To every veteran who's felt invisible, to every person who's been judged before they've been heard, this is your moment. Stand up, speak up, and never let anyone tell you that you don't belong." The crowd rose to their feet. Applause thundered. The nation watched, in awe. In a quiet apartment in the Bronx, Rachel turned off the TV, tears rolling down her cheeks. Guilt burned in her chest like acid. In a dingy bar outside Denver, Todd slammed his drink down, furious, alone. But in thousands of homes, veterans smiled, families wept, young men and women felt seen. Marcus Thompson hadn't just changed a narrative, he'd started a movement. And karma did the rest. 1 week after the gala, Marcus sat in his office at the newly opened Thompson Veteran Center in Atlanta. Framed. Photos lined the walls, snapshots of him in uniform, arms around his unit, his late wife holding newborn Alicia, and a black and white image of his grandfather in World War II uniform. A stoic pride in his eyes. Angela stepped in, holding a tablet. "You're trending again." Marcus looked up, sipping lukewarm coffee. "Good or bad, depends on who you ask." She tapped the screen. A journalist dug up footage of Todd Benson at a private fundraiser last year. He was caught on a hot mic saying he'd owes NT, "Trust any man with a duffel bag and dark skin." It's making the rounds. Now, Marcus sighed. Let it burn. Angela sat across from him. He's suing. Claims defamation. Says you orchestrated the media storm to destroy his life. He destroyed his own life. Marcus replied, "All I did was survive his bias long enough for the world to see it." Angela grinned. "You want me to respond?" "Nah. Let silence speak this time." Across town, in a cramped studio apartment, Todd paced. His face was sallow, unshaven. Dozens of rejection emails glowed on his laptop screen. "Dear Mr. Benson, after reviewing your application, we regret to inform you." He slammed the lid shut. "I was respected," he muttered to no one. "I ran an entire hotel. He ruined me." His phone buzzed. His attorney. "We're losing traction." The voice on the other end said, "Public opinion's on his side. Sponsors don't want to touch this. Maybe it's time to settle quietly." "No." Todd's voice cracked. "I won't apologize to that man. Then you'll keep drowning. Your call." Todd threw the phone against the wall. Meanwhile, Marcus and Alicia were walking through the construction site of their next center, this one in Oakland. Alicia was recording everything on her phone for social media. "Hey guys, it's Alicia Thompson here with an exclusive look at the 4th Thompson Center. This is where veterans will get free legal support, trauma therapy, and housing resources. Oh, and guess what? It's being built right where a payday loan scam office used to be." She turned the camera to her dad. "Dad, any words for the people?" Marcus chuckled. "Just this: when you build something that lifts others, the people who live off of keeping others down will always scream first. Let them scream. We're still building." The video went viral. Again, in the comments, "This man's a national treasure. Where do I donate? This is the America we need." A month passed. Then 2. Marcus was invited to a panel in Los Angeles. A well-known conservative host tried to corner him during a live debate. "Mr. Thompson, isn't it dangerous to suggest that racism is still that prevalent in America? Aren't you just making people feel like victims?" Marcus leaned forward, unshaken. "I didn't suggest it. I lived it. I bled for this country, and then I was treated like a threat in a hotel I paid for. If telling that truth makes people uncomfortable, good. Change doesn't grow in comfort." The audience erupted. Even the host blinked, speechless. Back in New York, Todd stood outside the courthouse. Press surrounded him. "I have nothing to say," he barked, pulling his coat tight. But Marcus was there too, invited to speak on a panel inside about corporate accountability. A reporter turned. "Mr. Thompson, any thoughts on Mr. Benson's lawsuit?" Marcus paused, looked at the flashing cameras, then said simply, "The courts don't scare me. I've faced worse in the desert." Inside the courtroom, the judge tossed Todd's suit in under 10 minutes. "Public truth is not defamation," she ruled. Mr. Thompson had every right to tell his story. Motion denied. Todd stormed out. Reporters didn't even follow him. Marcus exited calm, composed, and surrounded by fellow vets. Back in Atlanta, a homeless veteran named Darnell stood at the front desk of the Thompson Center, clutching a torn bag. "I heard y'all don't turn folks away," he said quietly. The receptionist, a former Marine herself, stood and offered her hand. Only place in town where that's true. Come on. Let's get you a hot meal first. Darnell blinked, stunned. You don't want to see my ID. You already gave it. You said veteran. That's enough for us. He broke down in tears. At a donor's banquet in San Francisco, Marcus took the stage again. His speeches had become legend. This isn't about revenge, he began. This is about repair. I don't want to ruin people. I want to rebuild a system that failed me, that fails thousands of people who don't get caught on camera. When I was kicked out of that hotel, I could have lashed out. Instead, I started building, and now, brick by brick, person by person, we're healing. He raised a glass to dignity, to justice, to never giving up. The room stood and raised theirs back. One night, Marcus sat on the porch of his modest Georgia home, staring out into the quiet street. Alicia brought him a blanket. You ever regret it? She asked. Regret what? Not yelling back. Not fighting in the lobby that night. Marcus smiled. No, because yelling would have gotten me arrested. Calm got me seen. Sometimes the loudest noise you can make is being quiet in the face of hate. Alicia leaned her head on his shoulder. You're my hero, she whispered. He wrapped an arm around her. You're mine too. In a small newsroom in New York, an editor approved the final headline, From Disgrace to Destiny, the Marcus Thompson story, and underneath, the subtext, they tried to silence him. Instead, they gave him a megaphone. Todd moved to a small town 2 states away, working nights as a security guard at a storage facility. He wore a hoodie now, kept his head down. No one knew who he was. That was how he liked it. But every now and then, he'd see Marcus on TV smiling, speaking, changing the world, and all Todd could do was watch Marcus's next big plan. A nationwide training program for hotel staff, mandatory workshops on unconscious bias, racial equity, and veteran respect. Signed and supported by over 200 hotel chains. He called it Operation Respect. And when the first training center opened in Dallas, Marcus walked in wearing the same suit he had on the night he was kicked out, just to remind himself and everyone else how far one moment of cruelty could be turned into a lifetime of purpose and karma. Karma just watched and nodded. 2 years later, Marcus stood on the rooftop of the newly constructed Thompson Veterans Tower in Washington, D.C., a 10-story building filled with temporary housing, job training centers, trauma recovery, clinics, and classrooms for career development. It was the largest veteran support facility in the country. The ribbon-cutting ceremony below was buzzing. Politicians, generals, journalists, and most importantly, veterans had come from all over the nation. The mayor was waiting downstairs, along with 3 senators. But Marcus stayed still for a moment longer, letting the wind carry the sounds of laughter and hope up to him. Alicia joined him on the rooftop, now 20, with a film crew behind her. Her once small social media channel had exploded, and now she ran a nonprofit of her own focused on helping children of veterans. You ready to go down? She asked, smiling. Marcus looked out at the horizon, eyes glinting in the sun. I was ready the day they kicked me out. This is just the harvest. They rode the elevator down, doors opening to thunderous applause. Marcus stepped onto the stage, flanked by veterans in uniform. He didn't prepare speeches anymore. He didn't have to. His life had become one. 2 years ago, I walked into a hotel lobby and was told I didn't belong. I walked out with no room, but with something much bigger, a reason, he said, voice steady. You can't control what people say about you, but you can damn well control what you build after they speak. The crowd roared. Flashbulbs exploded like fireworks. I stand here today not as a victim, not as a statistic, but as proof that one act of hate can spark 1,000 acts of healing. And if you're listening, if you've ever been thrown out, pushed down, silenced, know this. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are fuel. He paused, letting the silence Carry his words deep into every heart. This tower stands because of pain. It stands because of resilience. And it will stand long after hate falls. Another eruption of cheers. An older black veteran in the front row wiped his eyes. Backstage, Angela was on the phone, finalizing contracts for the next Thompson centers in Baltimore and Phoenix. Their waiting list for veterans needing housing had grown to over 10.00, and Marcus refused to stop until it hit zero. One night, Alicia posted a clip of her father surprising a homeless vet under a bridge in Street Louis. Marcus kneeled down, offered him a meal, and whispered, "You're not forgotten." The clip hit 20 million views in 4 days. Celebrities started donating, even athletes. One NBA team wore Operation Respect shirts during warm-ups. A singer dedicated her Grammy speech to Marcus, calling him a warrior for dignity. Todd, now working at a truck stop in rural Ohio, saw that speech on a fuzzy TV mounted in the break room. He poured himself burnt coffee, muttering under his breath. Fame doesn't mean he's right, but his words felt hollow, because somewhere inside, he knew Marcus hadn't chased fame. He had chased change and caught it. Meanwhile, Rachel was volunteering at a small shelter in Queens. After 2 years of therapy, reflection, and working low-wage jobs, she had started trying to make things right every day. She passed out meals to the unhoused. Many of them were veterans. She never forgot Marcus's face. And one day, she sent a handwritten letter. "Dear Mr. Thompson, I know you owe me nothing, but I owe you the truth. I was wrong. I didn't see you. I saw my own fears, my own ignorance. And it cost me everything, but that pain taught me. I now serve food to the very people I used to look past. And every time I see them smile, I think of you. I hope you can forgive me, even if you can't. I'm going to keep trying to be better. Sincerely." Rachel Angela read the letter aloud to Marcus in his office. He sat silently afterward, eyes closed. "Should we respond?" she asked. He shook his head. "No. Sometimes redemption is personal. Let her earn her peace." Months passed, then a year. The Thompson Initiative expanded internationally, working with NATO vets, helping refugees who'd served alongside American forces. Marcus was invited to speak at the UN. He stood at the podium, looking around at diplomats from every corner of the globe. "Service knows no color, no creed, no border," he said. "The least we can offer those who give everything is everything." The auditorium rose in a rare standing ovation. On the 3rd anniversary of the hotel incident, Marcus returned to the place where it all began. The hotel had changed ownership. It was now under a new name, one that was proudly partnering with the initiative. But Marcus wasn't there for revenge. He was there to teach. He held a workshop in the same lobby he'd once been kicked out of. The hotel staff sat in chairs, listening to him speak with kindness and clarity. "You don't need to understand someone's journey to show them respect," he said. "You just need to believe they have one." A young concierge raised her hand. "How do you forgive someone who treated you like you didn't matter?" Marcus gave a sad smile. "By remembering that your worth isn't defined by their blindness. It's defined by how you rise when they try to shrink you." That night, Marcus walked alone to the park across the street. He sat on a bench, his cane resting beside him, eyes lifted toward the stars. Alicia sat beside him minutes later, quietly. "You okay?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Just remembering. I almost walked away from everything that night. If I'd let them break me." "You didn't, I know. But others would have." Alicia took his hand. "That's why they have you now." They sat in silence, the kind shared only between soulmates and blood. Back in his office days later, Marcus opened a package. Inside was a framed photograph. It was a still from the hotel lobby camera footage, him standing tall, duffel bag in hand, face calm as he faced Todd and Rachel. On the frame were engraved words, "This is the moment the world changed." Marcus hung it on his wall, right next to his Purple Heart. Then he sat back, took a breath, and smiled. not because it was over, but because he knew it had only just begun. And karma kept watching. Karma never blinked, because when hate tries to erase dignity, karma brings it back bigger, bolder, and unstoppable.